Marina sat on the sofa and watched her son rolling cars on the carpet. Mishka sometimes stopped, raised his head, and, meeting his mother's eyes, smiled at her. "Mum, am I playing well? Did you see how Daddy's car jumps? Look, like this." And he picked up the blue car that Dennis had given the boy for his birthday, dashingly tossed it in the air and dropped it to the floor, smacking his lips. "Yes, son, you're doing great. When is Sveta coming?" "She'll be here soon. She'll study and then she'll come." "Okay, I drew her a picture in kindergarten. Good. I'll show you." And Misha rushed to the rucksack, pulled the zip, trying to take out the picture. Mom, help!" "I'm coming." "Well, you broke everything again." "Well, Misha." Marina tiredly squatted down and unzipped the rucksack. Misha proudly showed her a drawing, on a green meadow, next to a large, not fit on the sheet. The house stands their whole family. Marina, her husband Dennis, Sveta and Mishka. Everyone is smiling. Marina with flowers. Sveta Mishka drew ice cream, and himself with a big green lorry. "It's beautiful, son. It's very beautiful. It's beautiful. An ordinary day, an ordinary evening. And Marina, as usual, will go to cook dinner. Except that Dennis told her yesterday that he wants a divorce, so everything in the world is now wrong. Marina has already been married once. At 19, everything seemed so simple. It seemed that love is when feelings envelop you, and all problems are solved instantly. They are as if erased with an eraser, because there is love. There are so many films about it, and everyone around who is in love walk happy, holding hands, smiling, and at home they have everything wonderful. But it wasn't that rosy. There was a life that dictated its own terms. Someone had to go to the shop and cook, clean the flat, pay for the communal services. Household blew on love with its dusty, stinking breath. It became sad. Then Marina realized the difference between falling in love and love. The first love, bright as a meteor that swept across the sky, left only a black scorched trace, photos in the album and memories, which often chase away from yourself. Let them go. Let them disappear into the past. Let them not pull their tenacious fingers to the heart. But at Marina remained, and Svetka, Yurki, chatty and restless girl, Tisketsia on the street cats, and scaring the local dogs with his squeal. At the time of the divorce, Sveta was 6. Marina dropped out of the institute, got a job. Sveta went to kindergarten. X paid alimony, as established by the court. All rank and file, all according to the law. At first Marina even liked that she is her own mistress, that achieved that after the divorce to receive good money. "Well, how else?" Shrugged her shoulders. "I chilled on what to support." "Why did you get divorced?" asked the girls when Marina came to the reunion. "Yes, he did not need us. He disappeared for days on end somewhere, and I pulled the whole family. And as usual, it was the husband's fault, for which he was punished with a summons." "Well done, Marina. You didn't lose your temper. Others after all, and so live, pulling this burden, and long ago already strangers to each other." Nodded friends. Only Vaika, with whom Marina was familiar from childhood, shook her head. "Hasty you, Marish. Just had to grow up. Sveta is growing up. Like, they say that the child is still more attracted to the mother, but only daddy on weekends. It's nothing, not a family." "You know what?" Marina turned away, pressing her lips. "Other people's misfortune with your hands. Let's see how you will work out." Sveta grew up doing her homework on her own. Then she turned on the television and, clicking the buttons of the channels, looked for films about the beautiful life. Her father sometimes came to her house or took her somewhere with him, to the zoo, to the theater, just to walk along the streets. Sveta understood. Well, Mum and Dad were no longer together, it happened. There, Anka, Lena and Masha also have dads living separately. The norm of life. And then Denis appeared in Marina's life. It was something else entirely. Strong, serious. Denis took his time, wooed beautifully. And when he came to Marina's house for the first time, he brought gifts for Sveta. She was 12 at the time. Sveta, please meet Uncle Denis. Hello, Svetlana. This is for you. Denis handed the girl a package. What is it? Sveta looked inside. I know you like to paint, but I didn't know what to choose, so I got a little bit of everything. Brushes, canvases, paints in neat, brightly colored tubes. Sveta nodded gratefully. Mom! These are the same ones. Well, the paints. Remember, I showed you in the shop. Thank you. Oh, Denis, they're so expensive. Why are you... Yes? The man just waved his hand. You know, then he explained. If I'm going to buy something, I want it to be good. And so it was with everything. When Marina's iron broke down, Denis bought the best one, light, with steam. Sveta needed winter boots. Denis took them to the shop, made them try on many pairs of shoes. Some he himself rejected. After looking closely at the fur, some did not like the girl herself. Denis, there's no need. I'll buy everything myself. Marina frowned unhappily. Don't interfere, waved the man. And now the new boots, leather, high, with buckles on the sides, lay in the box, smelling pleasantly on Svetlana shoe cream. Wear them to your heart's content. The cashier smiled and held out the check. Marina wanted to take it herself, but Denis deftly snatched the slip, crumpled it up and threw it in the bin. You know, later in the evening when Sveta went to her friend, Marina said, Don't pay for me. Why? Well, you're not Svetka's dad, you're not my husband. Why should you spend so much money? I've been saving for her shoes, I have money. And I have alimony. Denis was silent. Marina was even afraid that offended him. Then, the man calmly shrugged his shoulders. Then I will become your husband. Do you agree? A month later, Marina married again. Again there was a wedding, guests, toasts, wishes of happiness and gifts. Marina bought a new dress. The first one, associated with an unhappy marriage, she sold long ago. To the young, shouted friends. Grief, echoed them relatives. Denis kissed Marina hotly, not shyly, on the lips. Today was their holiday, and then, whatever happens. Happy Sveta, who liked Denis very much, because he always looked carefully at her drawings, and honestly talked about what is good in them, and what is not, had a lot of fun at the party. Perhaps she did not look at her mother's fiancé as her new father. She was very mature for such a naive, easy decision, but in any case, she was not against the new relative, and family life flowed between her fingers. Marina sometimes compared herself then, young, jumped into marriage immediately from the student bench, and today's self, already calmed down, independent, proudly looking at the new spouse, because nothing owed to him, can take care of themselves, but ready to give Denis the opportunity to become the head of her family. Marin, waiting until Sveta went to her room, Denis leaned over and hugged his wife by the shoulders. And I want a child. Come on, eh? Well, we have Svetika. She needs to be put on her feet. Marina pressed her lips together skeptically. One child was absolutely enough for her. Fortunately, there were sleepless nights when Svetka was ill, when annoying otitis media forced the woman to take a sick leave and stay home with her sick daughter, when they combed out the lice that Sveta had brought from school. The girl grew up. She became less in her mother's life. Marina could take care of herself, her husband, their common time for a happy existence. Svetka's a good girl. She's so beautiful and clever. But I want a child together, yours and mine. Marin, I don't have children of my own. I'm 38. I want my own family, with my children too. Is that so hard to understand? For some reason he became angry. He sharply put the cup with tea away. The drink splashed onto the new tablecloth, spilling into a wonderful, like a crushed butterfly, stain. Well, what have you done? Why did you ruin the tablecloth? Now you have to wash it. Don't you shout at me at all. Not at your place. Then she stopped. Denis stood up abruptly and left the kitchen without tasting the sugar bagels, which Marina diligently baked for dinner. And I told you, Denis's friend Igor raised his index finger. You're like a stray dog to her. She took you in from your rented flat, a good, kind person. And you give her presents, groceries, you're in her presence. Come on, Denis grumbled. What difference does it make who lives where? I don't think she would agree to move into my rented flat. And it's inconvenient for Sveta to go to school, and her own place is always good. Aren't that why you married her? Igor squinted. After all, you're from Chita. In Moscow, you need something to hold on to. No, don't think so. I don't think so. And she might decide to do something. And you're here with a child. I don't know. Denis took a big sip from the glass next to him. I don't know. We didn't discuss children before we got married. I thought it wasn't a problem. Igor only clucked his tongue. He himself, twice divorced, had decided that he was happiest living as a bachelor. There are so many good girls, so many affectionate names. So why tie himself to one, and in general, to tie himself, and even more so to dream of children? But Mishka appeared without asking Marina, whether she wants it or not. And on the old woman there is Proruka, sighed the woman, leaving the personnel department. She was to the last did not want to register maternity leave, did not want to lock herself in the flat, and then, pulling a heavy pram from the entrance, gloomily look at the girls rushing somewhere, turn away from the mirror, because the waist again blown. Here with Sveta Marina has grown fat by 4 kilos, rounded up so that it was disgusting to look at herself. And again. And Mishka, having been born, seriously, carefully looked at his mother, smacked his red lips and fell asleep. His life was just beginning, and he was absolutely indifferent to the size of his mother. That's how he came to be, a shared baby. Not half, not a slice, but completely shared. Well, congratulations, guys. A son has been born. Denis, having abandoned all business, called his friends, his mum in Chita, his cousin in Omsk. My son, I said, was born. His own, his blood, flesh from flesh, with ears just like Denis's, even a mole there, on his right thigh, just above the knee, just like his father's. Now, when Denis met someone who did not yet know that he had married, the man proudly said that he and Marina already had children. The girl is from the first marriage, but the son is common. As if he divided the toys into those that Marina brought into their married life, and those that were given to them for two. Sveta had grown attached to her little brother, and was happy to cuddle him and take him for walks. He would have been her, down to the very last nail, down to the fluffy top of her head. Svetka was the first to notice that the screaming at night Mishka's first tooth came out, the first to see how he, lisping something, stood up on chubby, strong legs and took a step forward, fell, surprised at himself, and laughed, looking at his older sister. And Marina at this time something again reprimanded her husband in the kitchen. Either he didn't buy potatoes, or he didn't come on time, and his wife's appointment at the hairdresser's had been cancelled. Ordinary life, ordinary evening, ordinary life. Marin, we need to talk. Denis immediately noticed how his wife's back tensed, straightened. Marin, Well, don't drag it out. Marina turned round and banged her elbow on the locker door. She had long ago become annoyed that Denis mumbles, forgetting what he started to talk about, distracted, constantly poking his fingers into the phone. Marin, I'm thinking of filing for divorce. That's how it is somehow. And fell silent, turning away to the window. Marina wanted to say something, already opened her mouth, but then her lips trembled, her eyebrows, which had flown upwards, lowered, turning the woman's face into a sad Pierrot mask. Denis heard the door of the room slam and Marinka's suppressed sobs. How can he, Vic? Why are they all like that? I gave him a child, I asked for it, he got it, and now what? I'll have to raise it alone again and he'll go away with nothing. Wait, Marin, what happened? Does he have someone? You probably just had a quarrel, he'll change his mind later. There is. I saw them together. She works in his office or something. Of course, he's found someone young. I've got a belly, wrinkles on my face. And all this after Mishka. If it weren't for this pregnancy, I'd be beautiful. Marina, shut up. Your Mishka is the best. So tender, so clever. You should be proud of such a boy. Well, yes. First you give birth to them like that, so that they have a family, and then they leave anyway. No, I'll give him a fun life. Marina, what have you thought of? Wait a minute, silly. I'm sorry, I have to go. I have to give Mishka a bath. Marina hung up. Divorce, so? Good. Then listen to me carefully. She spoke loudly, almost shouting. Let's keep it down, the kids will hear. The children? What do you care about them? You're leaving, so let them hear what kind of daddy they have. If you file for divorce, take Misha with you. I can't take care of 2 kids on my own, even if you pay me your pennies. You wanted a son, so raise him yourself. Raise him like a man, only a real one, not a man like you. Sveta, of course, stays with me. You're nothing to her. We'll live. But Marin, any court will leave the child with his mother. Why are you like this? Misha is still young. He'll miss you. Nothing. With the court. Then she leaned over her husband and looked angrily into his eyes. And Misha loves Daddy too. And the new mum, the aunt with dyed curls, will love him too. Or doesn't the auntie want to babysit your kid? Maybe she wants a common one too. Well, it's up to you to decide. Marina, stop it. I just wanted to talk to you. Go away. There's nothing to talk about. Dennis quickly packed up and left the flat. Sveta had seen her father do it once, now stepfather. She also heard how Marina had cleverly separated the children. Mishka will be taken away. Taken away. He will grow up without Sveta. Let's play, heard the girl behind her back. What are you looking at? I want to play too. The boy put a chair to the window and climbed up on it. Oh, Daddy's gone. Daddy, bye. The car blinked its headlights and disappeared around the corner. What are you worried about? Igor poured coffee into a mug and splashed boiling water on it. And take the kid. What's the big deal? There are gardens, babysitters, and Marina, it will all come back to bite her. I'll tell you everything. File for divorce and alimony. Let her work to send her a paper that such and such has abandoned her child and must transfer money for his maintenance. Shame. The local noblewomen will immediately brand her, make her a cuckoo. Then you allow her to see the child, but rarely, better in the evening, and even better when Mishka has a lot of circles. Let him be tired, cranky. Then say she's the one who's a bad influence on him. She's a deadbeat mum, that's all. And tell your son every time how his mum spares money on him, how she doesn't want to see him. Have you learned? She's going to give the baby away. Look at you. Igor, I don't want to. What? I don't want Misha to feel bad. I don't want to do anything mean. I just want a peaceful separation. I met another person. I realized I was wrong then. With Marina? Well, she's been divorced before. That's normal. That's life. It's just that Anya, she's not ready to live with a child yet. We need to get used to each other. Aha. And then you'll have a common child. Well, Mishka will love him. Igor, reaching for the radio, made the sound louder and began to sway to the music, closing his eyes. Dennis shook his head, as if arguing with himself, and left. Shut the door so it doesn't slam, Igor shouted after him. Anya, I told her. She got angry and told me to take Misha away. She said that at the divorce court she would say that he should live with me. Anna, in a beautiful dress, bought especially for meetings with Dennis, frowned. No, that's not good. Children should live with their mothers. What kind of mother is she if she gives her child away like that? It's horrible. Anya. Well, maybe it's a good thing. We'll have Mishka. You'll love him. And he'll love you too. Because you're good. The man drew Anya to him. Maybe it's the right thing to do? Anya turned away. No, it's too fast, and then... She hesitated. I thought we'd have kids of our own. Our own, yours, common. The words swirled round and round in his head. Dennis tossed and turned, frightening sleep. No, it's wild, he urged himself. Just wild. But what exactly could not explain to himself. Misha, get up! Sveta, one hand shook her brother, and the other folded things into a rucksack. Get up, let's go. Where? The boy sat sleepily on the bed, yawning and stretching. Where's Mum? At work. Let's go to Grandpa's. Why? To visit. It's Grandpa's birthday. Really? Let's go to Grandpa's by ourselves. Misha was happy. Denis's father, Pyotr Andreevich, was a first-class grandfather. He did not divide his grandchildren into common and halfway, equally scolded and affectionately rubbed both of them on the top of their heads. He was the one who would do well. Sveta hastily heated up Misha's porridge, ate herself, raked up the dirty dishes and put them in the sink, grabbed their jackets, and dragged her brother outside. The sparrows clinging to the lilac bushes rose grumpily into the air, startled by the two fugitives hurrying to the bus. What are you doing here? Grandfather Peter opened the door in surprise. Where are your parents? They're getting divorced, Svetlana answered simply, and kissing her grandfather on the cheek, pulled her brother into the flat. We'll stay with you for a while. Mum decided that Mishka and Dad will go away, and I'll stay with her. How? What are you talking about? Pyotr Andreevich, stroking his mustache, hung the jackets on the rack and went to the kitchen to put the kettle on. Okay, we'll figure it out. Denis, why don't you answer me for so long? The kids are gone. Marina rushed around the flat, as if Sveta and Misha could, like beads, rolled under the furniture, and they just need to sweep them out of there. What do you mean they're missing? It's Saturday. You were supposed to be with them. It's 11:30 in the evening. I was supposed to? What about you? They asked me to go to work. I called Svetka's mobile phone and it's here on the table. Some children's things are missing, some documents. You took them away, didn't you? Why are you torturing me? She went into a screaming fit. I didn't take anyone. Did you call the police? Sveta's friends? Have you looked in the yard? I've looked everywhere, phoned, looked everywhere. They're nowhere to be found. What do I do, Denis? What do I do? The man felt fear rising to his heart. His hands shook. I'll be right there, he muttered, and ran out of the flat. Anya shrugged her shoulders and slammed the door shut. The spring evening, warm, permeated with the tart, thick scent of blossoming cherry blossoms, enveloped and stupefied him. But Denis did not notice any of this. He went round all the playgrounds, got the addresses of Sveta's friends and went to their houses, but the parents only waved their hands. The girl didn't show up. We have to go to the police. Denis grabbed Marina by the arm and dragged her away. It's all because of you, she whispered. Because of you. Shut up, we'll deal with it later, he interrupted her, hissing. They're both good. As the couple approached the police station, Denis's mobile rang. Son, are you still awake? No. No, our kids are missing. No. Marinka went to work, came back in the evening and they were gone. We're going to the police. I'll call you back later. No police. Your children came to see me. They turned out to be smarter than both of you. They're closer to you. Well, we'll talk about that when we meet. Come if your conscience allows it, finished Pyotr Andreevich. So? Why don't you say anything? Well? Marina pulled her husband by the arm. They're at grandfather's. He says they came themselves. In the living room, as many years before. The clock was ticking. Beautiful, in the form of a house with pine cones hanging down, with a cuckoo that was forever locked in its nest. They hung there, as if for eternity. They saw everything, joy and sorrow, weddings and farewells. They saw how stupid people quarrel and reconcile, wasting minutes like grains waking up from a trough. That's right. Pyotr Andreevich, having put Marina and Denis on the sofa, sat down opposite them. You there as you like, but I will not allow the children to separate. They, unlike you, relatives of each other. You've made a mess of things, living with one, then with another, having children everywhere and then dragging them further away. They're yours, so they should live as you say. Yes? He looked sternly at the couple. And they're human beings too. Small and naive, but they're wiser than you. You only play at love as I understand it. They live it, and I won't let you tear their souls. You can split up as you wish, get married, have new common children, I'll accept all of you, but I won't let you separate your children. He slammed his fist on the table. Marina shuddered. Dennis wanted to say something, but stopped. Tak, I just said it like that. Marina whispered quietly. Well, about Misha. I thought that Dennis would be frightened, would change his mind about leaving. No, you cuckoo, and you, son, not better. Get out of my sight, Grandpa shouted. Sveta and Misha will stay with me for now. When you get divorced, come and visit. Svetlana, standing against the thin wall, heard every sound. Large, hot tears rolled down her cheeks. She didn't know it was possible to cry like that. What would happen now? What would these adults decide? Fearful, bitter. Sveta tiptoed over to Misha's bed and stroked her brother's head. He smiled in his sleep and turned on the other side. Marin. After a long silence, Dennis finally said, Maybe it's true that children are smarter than we are. Maybe it's not too late to fix everything. Let's try to live together, discuss everything. After all, the children's father really won't give them back. I know him. He has no right. I'm their mother. Marina was angry again, but then faltered. She nervously clenched and unclenched her hands, sighed and bit her lips. How can I live with you again if you with another cheated on me? How? I don't know, Maureen. I don't know if it'll work out. But the children will help, I guess. Our children, Marinka, yours and mine. Without sharing and scandals. A fortnight later, the children came home. Pyotr Andreevich patted his son strictly on the shoulder. Look out for me. If you'll be nonsense again, I'll take the grandchildren to me in a jiffy, he said, and left. Sveta and Mikhail stood and waved to their grandfather from the balcony. Everything seemed to be getting better. Dennis and Marina would try. They would try very hard to keep their nest. But Sveta would then be frightened for a long time to see her parents fighting, afraid that they would start dividing their children between them again.